Insurrection in Gaeaterra by Samantha Warhite. Chapter 1. Mother. Alessia swiped at the screen of her paper-thin tablet, sipped her coffee, and tried to imagine her life with a baby girl in it. Nimra, her roommate and best friend, swept into the kitchen and glanced over her shoulder. "Is that the IVF information you requested?" "Yes," Alessia replied. Her smart glasses worked in tandem with the tablet, summoning holographic images of the actual procedure. She swiped again. Radiant pregnant women gazed wistfully down at their growing bellies and raved about their experiences. It was so realistic they could have been sitting across the table from her, beckoning her down the road to motherhood. "So," Nimra prodded, bracelets jingling as she opened the refrigerator. "What do you think so far?" "Honestly, it's a really great program," Alessia twisted around to face her. "The government pays for everything, the treatment, the prenatal care, the labor and delivery. They even offer a stipend to get diet and supplement advice from a nutritionist. I can choose between a completely natural birth to connect with the ultra-feminine energy of Mother Gaia. Ugh, I would literally rather die. Or a C-section, or other completely medicated options." Nimra grabbed the jelly jar and crossed the kitchen to open the bread box. "What about after the delivery? I know you had concerns about that." "The government pays for maternity leave for up to a year after the baby is born." "Really? That long? I don't think I've met anyone who has taken the full year." Alessia swiped again and held the screen up for her friend to see. "That's probably because there are so many government-funded childcare facilities." "I've heard of this," Nimra exclaimed. "I'll ask my coworker where she takes her daughter. She told me they do such a good job teaching, caring for the children, and socializing them that she basically only has to be in mom mode for a few hours a day. I'm pretty sure the facilities are even open on weekends." Alessia's chair scraped against the floor as she got up to take her mug to the sink. She had a sour taste in her mouth. "Maybe I'll sign up for a tour at one of the locations." The words sounded hollow, even to her. Her friend stopped swiping and looked up, hazel eyes full of concern. "Nimra, your latte is ready." Their smart home personal assistant drew Nimra's attention to the espresso machine, where her cup was full and steaming. Alessia searched for split ends in a lock of her honey-colored hair and braced herself for the probing questions. "Are you okay? You don't seem excited about this. I thought this was what you wanted." They never came. Instead, Nimra asked, "Is it true what they say?" "About what?" "About, the boy babies." Alessia ran her hand along the cold countertop, sweeping away the crumbs from Nimra's toast. "The cash bonus? Yeah, they're always looking for volunteers to help maintain the numbers for the male population. They even call it an outstanding act of patriotism and sacrifice." "For real, though," Nimra shuddered. "I know it's necessary because we need soldiers and construction workers and miners and farmers and whatnot, but anyone who subjects their body to all those changes for such nasty little creatures should be set up for life." "At least the government claims them as soon as they're born." They fell silent for a minute before Nimra said, in a softer tone, "Would you like me to go to the IVF consultation with you? I could pretend to be your girlfriend." Alessia shook her head. "Plenty of the moms in Gaeaterra are proud, single working women. It's not like I'd have anything to be embarrassed about." "Of course not. I just meant for moral support." Nimra's Navigator smartwatch beeped and she tapped the screen on her wrist to dismiss the alarm. It was time for her to leave for work. She grabbed her jacket and checked her reflection in the little mirror above the entry table, expertly teasing little wisps of dark hair out of her impossibly perfect messy bun. You should at least consider going down to the Mother Earth temple. I know you aren't particularly spiritual, but you might soak up some mama juju, or whatever they call it, and that could help you make your decision. The Mother Earth temple was not a formidable, drafty, echoing building attended by cloaked and murmuring devotees. Rather, it was an expansive and beautiful park, a haven of nature which stood in stark contrast to the technology laden world Alessia experienced in her everyday life. Mature, beautiful trees spread their graceful branches overhead, and tender spring leaves cast dancing shadows onto the gravel path at her feet. Birdsong filled the air, and wildflowers speckled the lush grass, their sweet smell lifting her spirits. Alessia closed her blue eyes and inhaled deeply. She really needed to get outdoors more often. All her time was spent at work or running errands or relaxing at home, which caused her to be excessively introspective. There were an abundance of picturesque spots perfect for meditating, many of them occupied by acolytes leading trios of women through mystical hallucinogenic experiences. Meditation probably would not help. She needed to get out of her own head. Uncertain of where she should go, she studied a wooden sign carved with a map of the park. A gentle breeze carried the rhythmic, strumming tones of a stringed instrument to her ears. Determined to find the source, Alessia passed by ponds, fountains, Zen gardens, and a candle-filled grotto until she wound up in a clearing bathed in the late morning sunshine. A junior priestess perched on a stone bench with her guitar and swayed side to side in time with the music, instructing a group of young girls who were likely on a field trip. Gaeaterra is a utopia of feminine energy, power, and potential. For almost all of human history, women were treated like property and incubators. The sham of the nuclear family kept us oppressed. Toxic masculinity perpetuated inequity and repeatedly plunged the world into war. Over time, our predecessors realized they did not need to be shackled to men. The activism and leadership of the matriarchs secured the freedom of every woman to choose her own fate. We may choose to live for ourselves, pursuing our careers or artistic expression. We may choose to be coupled with another woman or multiple women, for sapphic relationships are harmonious and not inherently exploitative, unlike the heterosexual relationships of the past. Some women may be called to unlock the fullness of the power of Mother Earth and become mothers themselves. Whatever we choose, it is always on our own terms. Gaeaterra is the product of the empathy, the strength, and the inherent wisdom of women. Our government, run completely by women, is able to ensure equity. We have dismantled the patriarchy and capitalism. We have led the world in the development of clean, renewable energy. We have been the city on the hill, the beacon of hope, admonishing other nations to follow our example. We are the harbingers of peace and prosperity. The last chord of the guitar faded away, and, after a beat of anticipatory silence, the high priestess appeared at the far side of the clearing, flanked by acolytes playing various instruments. The sound drew people in from every direction, and there was soon quite a crowd as she strode into the center of the grass and began her ecstatic dance. Alessia's heart beat in sync with the chaotic cacophony of music. It all seemed improvised to her untrained ears, yet somehow managed to meld together in a wild and effortless way that almost inspired her to dance along. Almost. Instead, she admired the unrelenting intensity of the priestess's movements, never faltering, never slackening in pace, and the perspiration glistening on every limb only served to highlight her passion and skill. The dance ended, and the revered mother walked around to greet members of the audience, offering them blessings and flowers. She eventually made her way toward Alessia and asked, "What do you seek, daughter?" Though the woman was clearly younger than herself, Alessia bowed her head in respect. "I can't decide whether I should have a baby. I'm not sure I'm ready." "That's a perfectly understandable concern. Where do you think the root of it lies?" Latent feelings of anxiety threatened to bubble up to the surface whenever Alessia considered this question. Now she refused to run from the answer. "There's something missing in my life. My best friend thinks it's because I'm almost 30 and I've never been in a relationship, but I've never really been interested in having one. I'm just afraid I want to have a child to give my life meaning. If I'm doing it for the wrong reasons, I feel like I probably shouldn't do it at all." "Ah, yes," the high priestess replied. "For if you have never truly loved and been loved in return, how can you properly love and care for a child?" Something like that. "I would not worry too much." The woman put her hand on Alessia's shoulder. She smelled of essential oils mingled with sweat. "The maternal instinct is strong and will not steer you wrong. And there are now so many resources and programs available to help support those who feel overwhelmed with the responsibilities of motherhood." The pleasant smile dropped from her face, and she tilted her head, her piercing eyes wide in an unsettling stare. "I sense a sleeping strength within you, one that will grow as you continue to seek your truth and purpose. Do not fear the road of self-discovery." The high priestess snapped out of her trance-like state, handed Alessia a daisy, and resumed her promenade. Disturbed and uncertain, Alessia watched until an acolyte claimed her attention with an assertive tap on the arm. "Do you have a problem that could benefit from a touch of the mystic realm? We have many crystals and stones you can choose from," the acolyte said, holding out a basket filled with various trinkets. "This is just a sampling. The rest can be found in our gift shop. Did I hear motherhood may be in your future? I just happen to have a bracelet you may wish to consider. Rose quartz and opal are known to enhance fertility." "No, thank you," Alessia interrupted. "I'll keep it in mind, though." She took her time retracing her steps toward the parking lot. The grotto she had passed with barely a glance on her way to the clearing came into view again. A lazy curtain of water drizzled down one side next to the entrance and spattered into a narrow, shallow moat. A sign in front simply stated, "Know thyself." She passed over the little bridge and ducked her head to enter the cave. Votive candles were lit on one side, and a beautifully carved mango wood box sat on the dirt floor next to a bronze plate, which must have been shiny at one time but was now covered in ashes. She crouched down to open the box and found a small pile of cones. Assuming they were incense, she placed one on the plate and struck a match to light it. Languid flute music began to play as soon as the match met the cone. The timing gave her goosebumps. Was there a camera somewhere? Was someone watching her? An herbal, earthy smell, almost like burnt tea, wafted toward her. "What in Gaia's name is happening?" she gasped. Her vision blurred and her head pounded. The room seemed to spin, and she almost threw up. When she closed her eyes, she saw explosions of color. Then she was a child again, in the dingy apartment she shared with her mother. Moments from her early years flashed before her eyes. The time when she was pushed away and reprimanded after reaching for her mom and interrupting the video she was watching on her headset. Countless nights eating dinner alone because mom was always working late. Introductions to an endless queue of her mother's girlfriends and wondering why her mom smiled so easily at them and almost never smiled at her. Hundreds of painful recollections ensnared her. After what felt like days of being trapped within her own mind, she opened her eyes and found herself splayed out on the floor, covered in a cold sweat. She sat up with a groan and checked her navigator. Only about half an hour had passed. She blinked and realized she had been crying. A dreamy female voice emanated from the hidden speaker. Thank you for trying our Salvia divinorum cones. We hope you enjoyed your experience. You can schedule a variety of longer, guided ceremonies with a priestess at the gift shop. Please relax and refrain from any vigorous physical activity or important decisions for at least 1 hour. If you must leave the temple grounds before then, or if you experience any undesired side effects, you may purchase a tincture from the apothecary at the gift shop. If you find that you have vomited during your journey, please notify an acolyte at the gift shop, and someone will come by to clean the grotto. If you find that you have soiled your clothes, we have plenty of clothing you can purchase at the gift shop. The voice droned on. Alessia wobbled as she rose to her feet, dizzy and short of breath, and grudgingly decided it would be best to visit the apothecary. She could not risk having any lingering side effects at work.